Yeah, I did that. I had 3 separate appointments with the FBI, one with Katz and then 2 of my own. Yeah, that's a true statement. What do you mean should it be? Yeah, of course. It's illegal to talk about some things that are true.
My understanding, let's lower the intensity a little bit.
True.
Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, okay. When you say need to warn, I just told you.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Good to hear from you. In your kick stream?
Yep.
Listen, my friend, I hope you're having a good week.
Always.
Had a good week, yeah. I know that. Listen, my intention is never to start with you.
Yeah, I know it's not. Don't be afraid of me, okay?
People are in the chat, and as soon as I type something, they tell me Abathur, and so I wasn't egging you on, but then you said what you said, and it kind of rubbed me a certain way.
Good. Let's rub.
Okay, all right. This is my position, and you tell me if you disagree with it.
Sure.
There are a ton of illegal, unethical, problematic things that people can do that absolutely eviscerates your ability to make an income. Tons of it.
Wait. What are we talking about right now?
Your take about self-defense of income?
Oh, I don't know if this was the egging thing or the DDoS thing. Okay, go for it.
Oh, no. The egging thing, which is like, what was the egging thing?
Some girl tweeted at a picture of me at a place that I was at a certain time, and she said, I'll pay somebody a ton of money to go and egg Destiny here because he's on my campus. And she posted a picture of where I was. Yeah. And so
you did something in response?
Yeah, I doxed her publicly. Said people should get her fired from her job.
You doxed? When you say dox, you mean
Found
you got
LinkedIn,
publicly available?
Posted her first and last name. She said that people should contact her employer and fucking get her fired from her shit.
And that didn't, with the intention of what?
I don't know. Making somebody realize.
What did you want to happen?
You can't post pictures of somebody and call for somebody to go assault them when you're posting like a time and date of where they're at and paying people to do it. It's fucking insane to me.
But what's your best case scenario for that? How do you win?
She apologizes. She deletes. People think twice about doing shit like that in the future. I don't know. What do you mean?
Like game theory it out, dude. What is the best thing that occurs for Destiny? Or are you disincentivizing people from doing it in the future?
The best thing is, I don't know, the light little drops that I put in the culture, getting people to think that like, hey, maybe it's actually probably not okay to post a picture of somebody like a time and place and say that you should go and assault them at that time and place. It's a little fucked up.
Okay.
But
if she had said go protest it, would you have a problem with that?
Probably not.
Okay.
I also don't think I would have had a problem with her saying go egg him if she didn't post a picture in a time where I was either, Although I still have a bit of a problem, but pairing it with a picture, I don't know if you guys are all just fucking retarded or if I'm fucking retarded, but I don't know how you would feel if you saw a picture of you from behind online where somebody's like, go attack Pisco in real life.
Yeah,
it's just fucking insane to me.
I think
Especially whereas many people is like, there's like the chance of me dying at these events increases like every fucking year with every new group that I add to my roster of haters. So
that's horrible. It's horrible.
It's really fucking
that was
strange.
Horrible.
Yeah, but.
You shouldn't do that.
Sure. But anyway. Okay. DDoS. Go for it.
Yeah. I just think that when I hear you say self-defense is justified always, and violent, deadly self-defense is justified like in defense of your income streams, I think it's a little bit unhinged.
Okay, go for it. Are you going to give me like the manager example or something?
No.
Go.
No, no, I'm not going to do that. I just think there's a ton of, this is my position, you tell me if you disagree with it. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of things that an individual, a corporation, your employer, anyone could do to fuck with your income streams. Things that are illegal or not, they have no right to do, where we would never be okay with that, If let's say that someone evicts you improperly, or someone, with a contract improperly and ruins your income stream. They're doing something that's not allowed under the contract, or that's not, that the law won't allow. But because of the time lag between when you are able to bring a successful lawsuit, let's say you're not able to bring a successful lawsuit because you have no money, you just are out of an income stream, And we would never be okay with like a corporation mining in the Amazon or something, and all of a sudden your water for your crops is like, I don't know, polluted. Would you be okay with that farmer going and shooting out like the corporation that did that?
I guess it feels like there needs to be some form of sabotage involved that makes it like a little bit unique. Things like contract law or evictions or getting fired from your job feel a little bit more ethereal. but it feels like when some form of sabotage is involved, I can't, like, I'll ask you, I guess, like, what is your answer to the tire slashing hypothetical? A guy shows up outside your house every morning. He's wearing legal proof armor. The cops won't do anything to him. And he's slashing your tire every single morning, and then you can't go to work. What do you do to that guy? But let's say that you could, like, let's say that you work at, like, we'll say you work at a prestigious law firm, okay? You're making $170,000 a year in fucking Iowa or some shit. But you could just walk to the gas station down the street and get a job there. You just can't drive your car. Like, what is the correct answer there?
I think the correct that hypothetical is where they're slashing your tires every morning.
Yeah.
You literally can't get to your high paying job. You have an alternative for a lower paying job. You just have to live with the whatever, right?
Okay. I disagree with that.
No. I'm asking if that's the hypothetical, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think that you are allowed to use force to stop someone from doing that. And if the cops are truly not doing anything and the legal system is doing nothing, I think that self-defense absolutely justifies use of force on that person. And to the extent that that use of force becomes starts an encounter in which it's deadly, right? And then I think it would be justified to use deadly self-defense, especially
so you
if
think that, like, the next step? I could probably agree with that. So we should have just sent kids to his house to beat the shit out of him, and then after that,
no, stop. Self-defense is a right to use force which otherwise wouldn't be used in a totally without any due process in the moment, right? It's a right to summarily use force.
Okay, skip all the boring shit. I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm asking for the entire thing. So then what is the solution?
Only when things are imminent.
Yeah.
That's the only time in which we should allow. We should have a society in which right. So in the tire situation, I think that you would be justified using force to stop that intrusion on your property. 100%.
What's the difference between that and the DDoS kid?
No, I think that the DDoS kid, because of one, I think is imminence, and imminence
is, and he was doing it every day for months.
But it's also it balances interests related to his property as well, and where he is too. We don't want, like, if we just lived in a world, right, where you had a society set up in which you could just go to houses and you, right, on the basis of your allegation, right, you're claiming the allegation that he's doing something, and we give cover for you to go in there and beat someone up in the moment. That's a shitty society, right? We don't want to live in that society where we're meeting out frontier justice.
No, the society has already failed, right? I don't want to live in the society where the guy can do that with no repercussion.
In which case, I think the better channel for being mad is to channel it through the structures we have, the legislatures we have,
what structure,
and the prosecutors you have, and the police that you have.
Yeah, I did that. I had 3 separate appointments with the FBI, one with Katz and then 2 of my own, and they didn't do anything. They didn't care.
No, we're talking ethically and how you're going to set up your system. There are a ton of wrongs that people can do to each other that exist. You agree, right? There's tons of things that people could do to each other that can make them upset.
Yeah, but now you're gonna do the thing, throw the PC
what's
down.
the thing that I'm going to do?
I want a specific thing here before you're like, well, what if somebody was throwing a leaf at your car every morning and it got in your windshield and you couldn't see? I'm asking for this particular thing. Don't generalize. Don't use examples. Those are for retards that don't understand what we're talking about. I want to know for this particular situation, what would your answer been? Yes, tell me. In this situation, yes.
You have to answer then how you're going to set up your society as well, because this rule can't just be ad hoc to Destiny and Steven, and whatever's good for Steven, that's the rule we're going to have at the time.
I think in general,
let me finish this. You need to have a rule that's set up for the rest of society.
Yeah, I agree. If somebody is like destroying your shit and the government is not doing anything to intervene, or they seem unwilling or unable to, and you have to take extrajudicial measures to protect your shit or whatever, yeah, I'm okay with that. Fuck them up, 100%. But I'm a self-defense dude. I defended Rittenhouse. Like, I defended the cardboard dude. Like, of course I'm going to say that. Like,
let's take your example and then we'll generalize it. Generalize a rule that people can actually work with.
Sure.
Right? Because otherwise your rule is just going to be, you decide what's your property right, property entailment, right? And in potentially complex situations.
Yeah,
complex situations.
So can you tell me what we're supposed to do in this situation?
So in your particular situation, is it true that you exhausted, you called law enforcement? That's true, right? Mm-hmm. You tried convincing him to stop. You tried taking actual measures yourself.
Yep. Contacted his parents, contacted his siblings, contacted law enforcement, contacted him. Yes, multiple times.
And you're saying that one route, the route of a lawsuit, is unavailable to you, even though you know their address, because
I spoke to one lawyer, and he told me that for lawsuits like this, because all of it is uncharted territory, that one, it would cost me tens of thousands of dollars, because you'd need tons of expert witnesses to come in and explain things like TCP IP stacks to the fucking jury to even begin to talk about a DDoS thing, and that the likelihood of it even succeeding is going to rely almost completely on how tech savvy the judge is and if people even understand what's going on, and that like proving damages and stuff might be difficult too. That you're looking at like a big ticket lawsuit. Go ahead.
If your question is in that situation where the law is murky, where it's expensive, in that case, and when the police don't seem to be doing it because it's like uncharted waters or whatever, is the right solution to kill someone? And do we want to live in a society where that's set up that way?
Sure. Okay.
The
So I
answer is
said
no.
maybe it's not.
That should that be murder if you had killed them?
Okay. What about beating the shit out of them, attacking them?
I don't think that the law would cover that either.
Okay, then tell me what it should be. Tell me what you should do.
What you should do is you should advocate for new prosecutors, and new laws and new protections. That's what we do in this.
This is the
society.
gayest possible fucking
What
response.
Tell
me you've got to have something better.
Now let me ask you questions.
No, wait, you didn't even answer.
Let me ask you questions.
I
didn't answer your question.
He's not going to answer. Okay.
What do you want?
Let me restate so
is
that I
it the
can
gayest shit
understand.
ever?
Yes.
Is that your question?
Yes. No.
You want me to answer? Is that the gayest shit ever?
Let me restate. No. I want to restate. Then your solution is that I should have advocated to Congress that they change the laws while I lose my job for 5x plus years for them to figure out what to do.
I would recommend that you get self-help. I would recommend that you start a lawsuit. I would recommend you do exactly what you did, which is to find new ways to protect yourself.
Which is what I did do, yeah.
Okay, yeah, perfect. I wouldn't recommend, and anyone who recommend that you kill someone would be wrong. Look at how much worse your life would have been if you had done that. If you're just looking at the particular case that you had.
I mean, it depends on whether or not I figured out how to...
It is the case that your life would have been ruined if you did that.
Well, I don't know. If the alternative would have been that there was no solution for these types of attacks and people could infinitely grab your IP from a whole bunch of things, my life would have been ruined either way. I don't know which one would have been worse. I'm not sure.
You're not sure what would be worse to be...
Well, it depends on if you get caught or not, right? Isn't that the whole point of fucking killing somebody, is if you get caught?
All right, now, look, did I answer all your questions? Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. If someone had done what you said that you were, whatever, that situation, should they have gone to jail?
No, I don't.
And they were caught.
No.
So you would agree with a societal rule, which says individuals who feel that some damage is being done in a way that the law is murky about, which is what your lawyer said. You said the lawyer said that the law is murky about it. It's not sure we would win. That in these complicated... What, are you bored?
No, but I can already see like where, like the way that you're phrasing it. If somebody feels like some material damage was done in a way that's not fair to them and the law is murky and then blah, blah, blah.
Don't we have to make a rule for society, Destiny? Don't we need to make a law?
Yeah, we do. I don't know. But the problem is that I'm not going to be able to give you a solid boundary. Here is the exact thing rule. But whatever that rule would be, DDoSing somebody for months is way the fuck over the line.
What's the rule for non-Destiny situations? How do you generalize it into a statement? It can have some murky cases. I'm not asking for that,
if somebody was... Here's the problem. This is how you win this discussion, right? If you were a restaurant, a family-owned restaurant, and somebody was stealing like one bun out of your thing every single day and police wouldn't do anything, you probably shouldn't be able to kill that guy. But if somebody was stealing 70% of your inventory every single day and the cops wouldn't do anything and you were going out of business, I think you can blow them away if you want to. But I'm not going to be able to tell you what the exact percentage of the inventory that needs to be lost every day for them to enact violence against them. And then you're going to say, well, you don't have an exact rule, and that means blah, 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 blah. So if you can help me reconcile those two positions, then yeah, if somebody's doing significant harm to you in a way that 95% of society would go, yeah, this is like fucking actual sabotage, right? This is like actual destruction of like business or whatever, torturous interference or whatever the fuck you want to call it. This is actually fucked up shit, and there is no legal recompense for you, and the only way to make them to stop is to hurt them, then I would say that whatever that general looks like, I would support it 100%.
Okay, so what does the law look like, right? You agree whatever you do should be protected by the law, correct? This and the proposed murder or killing, I won't even say murder, the proposed killing of someone who's doing that thing, that should be protected by the law, right? It should not be not protected.
Well, do you consider an affirmative defense a protection by the law?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, then it should be, yeah.
Okay, so it should be legally protected.
Yeah.
What does that legal protection look like? What does it say?
If somebody is doing enough damage to your business in a way that is clearly like just sabotage and damage to your business, it's like a malicious thing. It's not like they open up a store next to you and they're undercutting your prices, but like it's just a malicious, harmful thing to your business, and they're depriving you of income, and there's no way for you to get like legal recompense because the situation is too murky or weird or the cops can't show up in time, then you have a right to defend that income.
That is a fucking horrible idea.
I know.
You know why?
So we just,
because you don't,
yeah.
because
just to be clear, we just walked back to you telling me where exactly what I said we were going to do is where exactly we're at in this conversation.
No, it's a horrible idea because I agree in the sort of ethical case, you're going to have a standard, and you can have super moral people like you
I am super
I'm just
moral.
assuming
Thank
that
you.
you're super
True.
moral people like you.
I am, yeah.
To apply the standard, maybe in your case it's actually pretty clear, right? That this is actually a case where the law doesn't offer protections. But if you're dictating a rule for the general society, you know that these business people, they are not good judgments of, one, A, when it's sort of an irreparable harm, two, when it's malicious versus when it's not malicious, what the law actually says, what it gives competitors the legal right to do.
Yeah, I don't
And now
disagree
you
with
want to
anything.
propose.
Yeah, that's great.
You
but
want
we
to
still have
propose to
self-defense.
society.
Yeah, we still have self-defense. You can still kill people in self-defense, and all of these same questions have to be asked in every
No,
single
but
case.
but in cases of self-defense, what we've done is we've sectioned off a series of cases or situations where you need to show imminence, right? Imminence, so that your life is at stake.
No,
also.
you don't. It can
Not-
be. It can. We've
No,
had
for deadly self-defense,
You can
for
not
deadly
even. You can do it over property in a lot of states because of the way the law is set up. Where if somebody is trying to damage your property, you have a right to do physical action, and through that physical action, it can escalate to deadly self-defense. Like there's a way.
We're talking about deadly self-defense, though.
Yeah, I understand,
And
but I'm saying that can extend even to your property in places like Texas.
that's true, but usually in those places, what's being talked about is real property. People are on your actual property, or people are stealing something.
So is that going to be your justification? It's e-property, so it doesn't count. It's electronic shit, so it's all fake. This is what the FBI told me. Like, is that what you want? Is that the?
The problem with the e-property, the same thing with copyright. Someone could be using your copyright in a way that's clearly infringement on wherever the law says, right? You agree that there's a property entitlement to copyright, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna wait out. It's like you're going
Why
to
are you
the
uncomfortable?
because you're going to the softest areas of like boring shit where I don't know where I'm
It's
gonna be
not
able to
soft.
draw the it is so soft. What if somebody if they're gonna go and publish a book ahead of when you're gonna publish a book and it's infringing on your copyright? Isn't that like depriving you of income the same way that somebody
No,
DDoS
wait, it absolutely
like,
is.
I know.
No,
yeah.
why are you reluctant to agree that it is?
It intuitively it feels like a totally different situation than somebody actually sabotaging your stuff, than somebody
Someone
destroying
stealing your
stuff.
book
Yeah.
and publishing it feels less malicious than someone DDoSing you? You're gonna have to explain that.
I'm gonna rely on the jury to intuitively work their way through that one.
So if you spent however much money making a book called your guide on people and women and whatever and sexual encounters, and someone goes and you're going to sell it for $30 a pop, and someone just publishes it, the full PDF, all over the internet, you think that that's not malicious and that's not trying to sabotage an income stream? Suppose that's the only thing you do in your whole life. It's your magnum opus. It's the only income stream that you've invested.
it's the problem is you're working in such a more concrete realm there that it feels like there are going to be avenues for you to get something back. But if somebody was like,
bullshit, he's judgment. You don't even actually know who it is, but no one's willing to do it, or he's in another country where there's no extradition, right? This is not a typical criminal matter. It's an infringement case, but
yeah,
he's judgment proof.
Listen, if you've published 4 books and there's a guy in another country and he's publishing all of these books ahead of you and he's about to publish book number 5 and he's in fucking Ukraine, yeah, drone strike him. I'd say go for it. He's about to publish it ahead of you. Yes, I do agree with that.
That's fucking stupid.
How is
you
it
don't agree with
stupid?
that.
What do you mean? If you're gonna steal his shit and publish it online and steal fucking money from him, fucking take him out 100%. Easy. Yeah. What you would say no? What do you think should happen?
No, and there are certain cases.
No. Tell me what you think should happen there. No.
We
Answer
should
your
not give
analogy.
it. No.
Oh, God,
you should not have the right. You should not. In the way I'm answering. Am I not answering your question? You will answer me after I answer this. If I did or did not answer your question, is that cool?
Yeah. Tell me what you think that
The
guy
law
should
should not protect you. And going out to another country to kill someone for copyright infringement. No, it should not. Did I answer your question?
So then, what should they do?
Did I?
Yes, you answered, but I'm asking what should they do? That's the interesting question, not you virtue signaling on liking the law.
And this is gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
This is gonna sound really shitty to you, right?
Okay.
But there's sometimes situations where there is no channel through self-defense to help yourself, and the only thing you can do is appeal to people with power. That is the government, an institution, a corporation. That's why people are going and talking to these institutions for fishing rights, right? Everyone's mad about the fisheries and the licensees.
Oh my God, that's such a totally...
Hang on.
Well, yeah.
If you have an entitlement that existed to fish in a certain area, right? And you own that thing. And now, someone from another country is overfishing such in a way that it's hurting the population in your area and it's making it so that you can't have income. The correct decision is not to fucking go kill those farmers that are overfishing on the other side of the border or wherever you don't have a right to. The correct answer is to appeal to someone whose job it is to do that and not resort to self-help, even if it's fucking you out of an income. That's the world we've set up because we don't trust individuals in their own circumstances with their own biases and their own incentives to decide for themselves where and when their property rights should extend to and where it should end and how it should be enforced. And sometimes that means you have no self-help remedy. And sometimes that even means that you can't even sue them because they're judgment proof or you don't know where they live. That's way better than living in a society where the general rule is shoot people who you feel are, infringing upon your right to exist with respect to an income stream.
Okay. I'm from Nebraska. Listen, that's what we did there. Okay. That's
no.
I'd rather say that. If you around, there are certain things that if you do it, then you get fucked. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that world. I realized this the other day. People ask me shit like, oh, did you ever get in fights a lot as a kid because you talk so much shit? And I actually realized why people ask me that question. And it's because people are fucking retarded. I know what I can or cannot say in real life without getting my fucking ass kicked because I'm not a fucking retard. If somebody's doing something and their ass gets blown the fuck away because they're like stealing shit from somebody constantly, even after they've been put on notice, or they're sabotaging somebody's shit over and over again, even after they put on notice, and they get fucking blown away, there are no tears shed here. Fuck it. I'm okay living in a society like that. Fuck 'em.
And this only applies if it would wipe you out, right? For economic situations where it would wipe you out.
Yeah, like I said, there's going to be some. If somebody's stealing like $10 from you, then it's probably different than somebody.
How about the same value, right? So, but the difference is one person just has more money, right? And so one person, you're doing the same thing, but this person, as well as being in a high function attorney's office, you're cutting his tires. He has to lose the job there because he can't go. But he has another revenue stream on the same time, which is he's selling DGG universe, cinematic universe miniatures, and he's making $10 million a year on DGG cinematic universe miniatures. In that case, right, he's losing access to a huge income stream that is $500,000 being a high-functioning, high-powered attorney at a big law firm. Do you feel the same way? Does he have the right to kill that person? It's the same property.
Yeah. Well,
it's the same income stream.
When you start getting into like intellectual property and things
that
like aren't even made yet, like the guy's not even made.
Sorry.
I don't know what to.
I'm sorry. No. This is the exact same hypothetical. So I'm going to lay it out.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, lay that out for me because I lost you with making toys. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So there's one person has two income streams. One, he goes in a car and travels to work as a high-powered attorney in some huge office, right? That's your hypothetical from before, correct?
Yeah.
And there's another income stream that he has on the side, which does not require him to travel to the attorney's office, which he sells miniatures from his house.
Okay.
And there's no problem with that, right? The cutting of the tires doesn't affect that, but it does absolutely stop him from being an attorney. He is able to maintain his house. He's able to maintain income, but his income is slashed in half. And so he doesn't have $500,000 he would have and he's entitled to by being a high-powered attorney. Same situation? Same outcome, I mean, which is he has the right to blow away the person.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah.
Now imagine that person makes $1 billion on this other income because he owns.
Fuck him. If Bill Gates catches you tampering with his mailbox, he should be able to take out his $17,000 AR-15 and snipe you from his window.
So now what we've done is we've blown up your rule that it's not really about wiping you out. That's a easy,
I never said it was about wiping you out. I said it was about like interfering with your business.
You should deal with the hard cases. It's not about someone now has no access to.
I'll iron out the hard cases later.
No.
Oh my
you
God.
Can't.
So okay.
This is yawning tactics.
It's not the yawning tactics. It's that I said in the very beginning that you were going to push me on the difference between stealing one loaf of bread versus 70% of your inventory, and you said that's not what we're doing, and that's exactly where we're at right now. You're trying to have me iron out an exact fucking rule. I don't know what the exact fucking rule looks like.
I can explain why it's not what you just said. I can explain why it's not what you just said. So one would be like quibbling about the amount of the property, right, at stake. And that would be what you're saying, which is I'm quibbling about, is it one loaf of bread versus 10 loaves of bread? I'm not doing that now. The only thing I'm adjusting is whether or not it would wipe you out. That's one of the variables. It's not adjusting the dial on how much or how little the property is worth. It's how much is that property worth relative to you and relative to your net worth. That's what I'm adjusting. And what's clear is it doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter if you're a conglomerate. As long as you're destroying one income stream that is $500,000, that's enough for you to enact deadly self-defense? And you're uncomfortable with that because that is what you just said.
I'm not uncomfortable with it. You are. I'll own all of these situations. If you break into Bill Gates' house and try to steal Xbox 360, he should be able to kill you. I don't care if he's got $20 billion. You shouldn't be able to break into people's shit and steal their shit. You shouldn't be able to destroy somebody's ability to make their fucking...
It's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to anybody who is stealing inventory in the store.
Okay. True.
But do you not agree with that?
No.
Why not?
Because I feel like there's some difference between stealing enough to shut down a business versus stealing, like shoplifting a little bit. I don't think the shoplifting at all, though. However, I will say that even for shoplifting, I think that can be defended up to fucking lethal self-defense. If somebody tries to steal something and you try to stop them and they fight you and it escalates to fucking them dying, I'm okay with that too.
No, but we both agree that if you use force and it escalates to deadly, that's fine. And that's the situation I gave, where I would be totally fine with you using force in the moment as an imminent matter to stop a property damage. But I think that you have to account for these situations where you have a very rich, a very powerful institution, and you're stealing the same value property which would justify deadly self-defense
in your
of
place,
someone who's a pauper.
Do you make a rule that it's okay to steal from really rich people as long as like, it's under a certain threshold?
No.
Wait, why not?
Remember, because the rule is about the usage of self-help, of deadly self-defense. Now, I still think it should be illegal to steal from rich people. I still think the law should give you cover.
Hold on.
And
let's say that you've got a scenario where for 30 minutes a billionaire has like some unguarded groceries or whatever outside of his property because of security switching shifts or whatever. The police won't help these guys off property. Let's say that every single morning, okay, RTBA comes up and he steals, half the groceries every morning. He comes up and he steals them every single morning. You tell him, fuck off, stop. And the guy's like, no, fuck you. And he carries a knife on him, okay? He's like, fuck you, stay away from me. At some point, when he's coming up to steal your groceries, do you have a right to blow him away, or do you make so much money that you just have to let him steal from you?
No. So I think that you have a right to use force to stop him, and if he's wielding a weapon, right, and you're going to attempt to use force, you're allowed to use deadly force because you have an entitlement to use force in that case, and that person is displaying a deadly intent towards you.
So then what's the difference between that scenario and any other one that we're talking about here?
Because in that situation, you're relying on the imminence of the harm to you and your entitlement to use regular force, not deadly force.
Well, then what's the difference between that?
That's changing the outcome.
So then if I would have just said we should go beat up the DDoS kid, what's the difference between that and the grocery example?
Because I think is the nature of the property and the fact that the legal entitlement is by your own admission.
Because there's not a law in Congress saying DDoSing is illegal, then that's like a tough luck.
It could be the case if it's the case that you don't actually have an illegal entitlement to a stable internet connection. What then? Should you be allowed to use deadly self-defense of something you're not even entitled to?
In this situation, yeah, I'd say so.
That's bullshit.
No, I don't think so. If you can give me a comparable example, I'd probably own it. What's bullshit to me is you saying like, well, there hasn't been an exact law carved out yet. So if somebody wants to come and f***ing, f your shit up over and over again, they should be allowed to. That's bullshit, in my opinion. That's the easiest bullshit in the world.
Suppose the law said that you have no right to sue over internet connection. You cannot guarantee stableness. It is not a crime to f with people's internet or to do that sort of shit. We rely on ISPs to just... ISPs have to figure that out. They have to make their own protections for it. And there is no recourse whatsoever to an unstable internet connection of any kind.
If that's explicitly stated, then I think it would be unethical because that's part of the implicit agreement you make by participating in that platform. Then I would say that.
Okay, now what if it's unclear? It's unclear whether or not you have an entitlement.
If it's unclear,
that's what your lawyer said.
If it's unclear, no, he didn't say that it was unclear. He just said it would be really expensive to fight, and the answer would be hard to figure out for a jury or a judge. Not that it's quote unquote unclear. It's probably pretty obvious that DDoSing is probably illegal, right? Yeah, but it's not about what you think. It's about what you can convince a jury of, right? It's or what you can convince a judge of.
Or a judge of.
A 75-year-old judge in Texas or
90-year-old.
Wherever the yeah. So so when you say it's murky, I would probably side against the person that's fucking with somebody just for the purpose of having fun and depriving that person of income. I'd probably side against that person if it's murky. Like easily.
You know what situation I'm going to give you now, right?
Knock yourself out.
You are a tenant of a property.
Okay.
The landlord is not a big landlord, just a small landlord who has a couple or so units for you to occupy, and you refuse to pay any rent. as the tenant. The landlord is fucked. Landlord, and in that particular state, the landlord, there are tons of protections for the overstaying tenant in terms of that make it difficult, though possible, to evict that person. It is difficult, and it's a long lawsuit, and to get an eviction thing, it's extremely difficult to, and it will take months and months and months in housing court to get that money back. You have a legal entitlement to evict this person. They've overstayed. You've given them notice. Everything under the law and under the lease has been done correctly, but the only barrier for you to get what's due to you, which is an eviction, of the sheriff to come and take that person away, is a high cost of a lawsuit, which is burdensome. Do you have the right to shoot your tenant?
Your intuition pumping this so hard because there's so many things that don't align. I'm gonna lean towards but it's just like there are so many things that make this so much different that you're pumping here. That's different. One,
why?
Because one is the idea that somebody needs a home to survive, right? That's an intuition pump here that's working against me. That wasn't the case with the DDoS kid. Let's say that my shit was lagging every single day because this guy had found a way to hijack into my internet connection because he needed it to pay his grandma's bills and do schoolwork. It's going to look a lot different for me attacking and killing the guy there versus him doing it maliciously. For your squatting thing, let's say, for instance, if you wanted to make it more analogous, let's say that the tenant doesn't even live in the property. He's actually got a house down the street, but he sent a friend over to squat in that property long enough to get some weird squatters' rights, and now he's fucking with it. Now it's more analogous, easily. Fucking either a mysterious fire starts, or you walk in with a shotgun, and he takes a small trip out of a long fucking window or whatever, right?
The thing is, you say it's more analogous, but the answer doesn't change if it's him or the other person. I don't really care if it's him or the other person.
It changes a little bit. If it's this is a person's sole mean of housing, and when you evict them, they're going to be homeless. Your intuition pumping a lot there versus it's a guy who's
sorry. Let me fix that for you. In this case, the tenant is just doing it for the lulz, right? He actually has 10 properties all across the country. He's actually a rich tenant, and he's just fucking with you because he's malicious. The only reason is he's malicious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
That's bullshit. No, you don't.
It's so easy. Okay, well. So what do you? So you think that the landlord?
It doesn't actually change. Okay.
Let me let you own your position. So you think the landlord should be forced to continue to provide services for the person because
not provide services, but he shouldn't. No, he should not have an affirmative.
He's paying for the property. He's providing the property.
He already has to pay for property taxes, right? He already has to do all that stuff. That's his entitlement as owner of the land.
Yeah, but
he does not have to. He does not have to give any
pumping you're doing here. What should he do?
What intuition pumping am I doing right now? So I'm telling you what the landlord has to do and what he doesn't have to do.
Let's say that it's just for.
Are you okay with me going out with that?
Let's just say that it's for one, a house that he's renting then, instead of an apartment building where there are other tenants that are occupying it that are making it more complicated.
It's a house.
Yeah,
it's a house.
Okay.
So in this house, he does not have to do maintenance. He does not have to abide by the lease. The lease, and he doesn't have to have any of his obligations on the lease. I'm not saying he has to do anything there. He has to do things vis-a-vis other non-parties like the state, right? He has to pay taxes and he has to continue to do all that shit. But in this case, the only thing I'm saying he doesn't have a right to do is shoot the tenant instead of doing the costly litigation eviction proceeding.
Well, let's say
he has to do the eviction proceeding. He can't not do it.
I understand, but again, they're intuition pumping here because there's a process that he can follow, and you can argue implicitly. There's why eviction is very complicated because there's a lot of law around evictions. There's a lot of tenants' rights, and it varies a lot from state to state. And there's insurance policies and everything that back this up. It's a way different thing than the DDoS thing, right? There's a whole litigation process that he can follow and seek recompense for, and a whole series of steps that are well established that everybody takes. And if you're telling me here that he can do it, if you would have told me, well, you're guaranteed to get some response. It might take 6 months or whatever, but if you follow the legal routes, you're guaranteed to get some response. Then I'd probably feel a little bit different about this.
The more you make it unclear whether or not you're going to get a judgment at the end, the more unclear your entitlement is to this property, right? The more clear it is that you're going to win, all right, fine, now we can play, we can do these hypotheticals. If it's truly unclear that you would win and that you would have an entitlement to your stream, that sounds less and less like you're entitled to it, doesn't it?
In a weird, convoluted legal world, maybe. I can't imagine in the house example that somebody's allowed to squat in a person's house and then take that house over without ever paying for it.
Over like 26 years, I forget what the adverse possession laws are in most states. I think it's something like 20 something in most states.
There's some with abandoned buildings and crazy shit, but I'm saying with a building that's actively being looked at, with an active property manager that's actively trying to evict them.
Yeah, you will actually.
But you're telling me that if the person can't get a legal right back to that property, then the squatter can live there forever and pay nothing and do nothing, and that's fine. And the other person can never enact violent self-defense to evict them.
That they're not allowed to use deadly self-defense or to force them out with their own physical force. And the reason is because we do not want to encourage that. We want to channel people.
But aren't you encouraging people to just steal shit then?
No.
Why? Because I know I can go, if I know that I'm not going to get evicted
well,
because the government's
in a way,
I can just sit in the house all day and take it.
Okay, in a way you are because you're putting barriers to your ability to evict. I agree with you. That
just
the end result of that
just so you know, for a real life example, this really does happen. You know that, right?
No, it actually does happen.
There are people that aggressively
I want to amend what I just said.
Okay.
I want to amend what I just said. Okay. I do agree that by putting limits on your ability to evict someone, you're making it more likely that tenants will overstay and squat. Agreed with that.
No, hold on. Oh my God, that was so weaselly. It's not.
Wait, why is that weaselly?
It's not putting limits on the ability to evict somebody. It's creating a world where it might be impossible to evict somebody. That's what you're talking about. Because to make the analogy 1-to-1, that's what we're talking about.
Where it's my analogy, my hypothetical was it was possible to get them out.
Okay, so if it was possible for me to legally
get rid of... I just want to be clear why I'm not being weaselly. The reason I said I put limits is I want to include all kinds of limits. Limits where it would make it impossible, limits where it just makes it harder. And so I'm not being weaselly. I'm just trying to include the universe of possible things, any possible thing that a government might do to restrict a landlord's ability to remove a tenant will probably incentivize some people to overstay than previously. That's all I'm doing.
If there was some legal process by which I could get somebody to stop DDoSing me over some period of time, even if it took a lot longer, it would change my argument significantly, I think. But there wasn't. So it was the Wild West is the internet.
Hang on. You could have sued them, couldn't you?
I don't even know if I could. I don't even know if I have standing to do that. I don't actually know. I have no fucking idea. I didn't even get that far in the process.
If you don't have... if you couldn't sue them there where they live, right? You could sue someone that harms you. You're saying it would be like a tort. I would agree. It'd probably be some tort. There's some federal, also there's federal civil rights of action that existed at the time that this allegedly happened that you could have relied on, just saying. But those cause of action are going to be, you're absolutely right, expensive to litigate. Expensive and
like prohibitively so.
Okay, so now that's why I'm giving you the example of the rent eviction case where it is extremely costly to get out an overstaying tenant, and you know that's true. And you can ask. I'm sure Dan has horror stories about that.
Hold on. Yes, some people can fuck with the eviction laws, but at the end of the day, a landlord will show up with a cop at the end of your time and kick you the fuck out of the apartment, up to and including fucking killing you. That's what will happen.
But you need to get a judgment, don't you? You need to get a judgment.
But there is a process in place for that will end with you dying if you do not leave that property. The law sides with me here. You will die. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Wait, it is fine that we're channeling our violence through the use of the state. That's what all these ANCAPs that you're talking to on all these panels are, that it's inherently... It is true that at the end of the legal process, there's violence because the judgment is an order for some guy with a gun to do something, or for you to refrain from doing something, or you go to jail, right? I agree with all that. That there's at the end of the day, at the end of the process, there is violence. And otherwise... everything is unenforceable, right?
Yeah, but there's no process for online shit.
To the extent that there's no process for online shit, I actually think now you are correct. Back when you were
even today, like for instance, I think I might be able to make a forum where we collect information for somebody for the sole purpose of hunting them down and killing them. And I don't know if at any step of the way if that's illegal.
Bro,
what?
If you made a channel with the explicit purpose of killing people,
not explicit but like implicit, where it's just like say what, like Kiwi Farms, I don't think anything Kiwi Farms does is illegal. It probably should be. Some of it probably should be. Do you disagree with that? Or
I actually don't know that I disagree, that I agree that what Kiwi Farms doing is illegal and should be illegal. I believe in a strong First Amendment. I believe that should it be illegal for you to talk about things that are true?
Should it be illegal to talk about harassment stuff? What the is that statement? Let's say that I say, I know that Pisco gets home tomorrow night at 9:52 p.m.
Yeah,
and he's
okay,
relatively vulnerable. Like, yeah, that's a true statement. What do you mean should it be? Yeah, of course. It's illegal to talk about some things that are true.
My understanding, let's lower the intensity a little bit.
Yeah,
Is
true.
that cool?
Okay, yeah, okay. Wait, can I get a Red Bull?
Yeah. I'm gonna grab water too. I'll be right back.
Okay, one sec.
How you doing, DGG? I'm working on Wii U, by the way, folks. RTBA has not responded to my last message, but it's being done. Now I can't see you. I just got banned. He just banned me. I can't see any of you. And there's no video, so I can't watch. Oh wait, it's on Kick, right? I'm in the dark.
All right, what happened?
I just got banned.
On what?
I don't know. I said Wii U again, and RTBA banned me.
Oh, I don't know why he just hates that emo, dude.
Yeah, me neither. All right, where were we? We were saying that there's some computer shit that's hard to figure out, and we were talking about Kiwi Farms and the extent to which what they're doing is illegal. Now, my understanding of what Kiwi Farms does is ranges a wide gamut that includes harassment that absolutely is not protected. If you're talking about things that sort of deal with someone's privacy, like
I don't know on the very broadest sense, I don't know how I feel about what the legality should be on the repositories of personal information. That feels wrong to me. It feels
just
like
the information itself.
Yes. Like here's Pisco's job, here's his car, his license plate, here's his, all of these forms of personally identifying information and stuff. I feel like that should be probably not legal. I don't think that type of repo should be legal.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem to serve any public interest, doesn't seem to serve any First Amendment rights. It seems to only exist for malicious.
Not in this case, but what if we're trying to figure out who I don't know, who stole the cat or who did the terrorism, and people are trying to figure. I know that there's a lot of cases on Reddit where people have mistaken people, but there can be some positive, useful use of identifying information. I
think there's a difference between an active searching of something versus an online repo.
Yeah, so if I wanted to put someplace a repository where every property that Taylor Swift has ever owned is available, do you think that should be legal?
I feel like that's a little different. It's something like a collection of houses that Taylor Swift has owned feels a lot different to me than a repository of all the personal information about Taylor Swift.
So her Wikipedia?
Are you really? Did you?
What?
Wait, I just want to make sure. Did you really mean that when you said that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I did. You
really meant that. Okay. So if I go to her Wikipedia, mad at me, bro? Because it's such a dumb comparison. If I go to Wikipedia, am I going to get her license plate? Am I going to get her current address? Am I going to get her?
Well, what are you including? Right? Are you including just her social security number? Like the type of
information that I would want if I wanted to find and kill somebody.
So name it for me. Her current address, her phone number.
I think current address, I think phone number, I think things like credit card numbers or social security numbers or number, things like daily routine or schedule, place of work, depending on if it's a public place or not. I think that these are things that there's no positive point in maintaining. There's nothing good is served by having this information public aside from being used to harass or attack somebody.
You hate the paparazzi people. They should be criminals.
I mean, they're generally in public areas, aren't they?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. If in public, just watching people do things, right? You're watching Bob go to the store, and he goes to the store at 8:00 every day in a public place. You're in a public place. You're never intruding on his internet connection. You're never breaking the barrier or the curtilage.
I think the way that information is used is different. If you're publishing tabloid pieces every now and then on somebody, including information like that, that's one thing. But let me give you a more clear example.
Yeah.
What if there was one paparazzi that followed somebody around 24/7 and was constantly uploading pictures of where they went all the time to an Instagram account?
That's a paparazzi. That's what they do.
Do you think that would be okay?
I think that at a certain point, if you're doing actions to specifically harass them in the sense of you're
not
putting them
harassing. You're just
intentionally in fear.
Right?
Intentionally.
How is it in fear? They're just taking pictures of you.
Okay, let me answer your question.
Yeah.
When you're just taking pictures and you're just following people, if they're a public figure, I think that should be protected. Don't you?
No.
You don't think you should be allowed to like follow where Elon Musk goes
all day, every day, and post pictures and then put that up on like some to constantly track them for days and days or weeks at a time? No, I don't think so. I think that's wild.
It should be against the law. It should be like a crime.
Yeah, like harassment or something. I think. Yeah.
What about you just do it? You just follow someone all the time. And you keep a respectable distance, but you're just always there in public. In a public place, you're allowed to be.
If it's in a
you're not saying anything to them.
Being in a public place versus you, I don't know if it's a crime to like follow. That might already be a crime. I bet it is.
But there are certain things that you can do which would be a crime, an invasion of privacy in the harassment sense. But you're just out in the public place where you're allowed to be.
If I followed you and I wasn't taking pictures, but I just followed you all day, every day, and you like told some cops, I bet they would talk to me. I bet you could get a restraining order.
I think that there's certain things that you can do stalking related to non-public people where, yeah, I think that
you
might be able to get a restraining order.
keep saying certain things you can do. I'm disagreeing with that. I'm saying you don't have to do anything but follow them for days. I think you could get a restraining order. They don't have to make... If they just,
public person or a non-public person?
You know what? Non-public person,
I'm going to
sure.
speak...
Yeah, go ahead.
This is not my area of expertise, stalking.
Oh, it is for me. I know all about it. I used to stalk so many people.
With more information. I know that there's a line in harassment that just saying certain things, right? So like there were people at the funeral of a soldier. You know Westboro Baptist Church? You aware of them?
Yeah.
And they put up like God hates F slurs. And so there was a soldier who died who was, and they followed this person around their body to like their funeral, and they protested their funeral. And there are a lot of people think that's harassing, right? But there's some, if it's about a political speech or if it's about an issue in the public, I don't know, domain, like the war or religion, there's going to be some space for even horrible commentary, even in the most intimate events like a funeral, where that's going to be allowed by the First Amendment. Now, in the case of like private individuals and all you're doing is following, I'm sure that there are cases where that's been a crime, but I want to look into that. And it's nothing to do with what we're talking about, which is at some level on the internet, there's going to be shitty things that people can do to you that you're not going to have a legal recourse to.
I agree.
Or that you don't.
People calling you mean names, people doing shit like that. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if there's let me think. If there is like a commentator, an internet commentator who is being unfairly maligned, nothing is being said that's untrue, but people are just like talking shit about this person such that they're not able to get their income stream from their stream the same that they would otherwise. Okay. They're not being invited to stuff. There's a lot of shitty things that people can do that the law does not give you cover for. And especially if there's no like legal recourse. If there's no legal recourse, how can you say that you have a recourse to deadly self-defense?
Do you think that there needs to be legal recourse for you to have a right to self-defend yourself? My next question for this, because I'm not interrupting you, but my next question is going to have to do with things like civil rights, right? That a lot of, arguably, a lot of the protests and stuff were people doing things because the law hadn't caught up. Fuck, there's a quote by like MLK that like a law that is unjust, or somebody please tell me this quote. What am I thinking of? There's like a quote that deals with unjust laws.
And the thing is, like, you can follow unjust laws.
Yeah,
or you don't have to
it's something to do with like the idea that like there can be laws that are unjust, right? So, and obviously we have an obligation, a social obligation to do something. I'm
not saying that you should always follow laws.
Sure, but you're using the law as a huge limit test here for like what's right or wrong, and
for deadly self-defense and self-defense generally. Because I think that in general we think that we want force to be applied by the government. And when it's not applied by the government, we have categories for it. It's mutual combat. It's a combat sport. Or it's fucking football. Or it's self-defense. Mm-hmm. And these are categories that we put up that are limited. It's not just, use force whenever you want. And it's for a reason. Because the same action that could be taken, that could be a crime, that is tackling someone on the ground and hurting them, in one case is going to be totally acceptable in one part of the norms. And so the law needs to be clear about what those cases are. Otherwise, you're going to have situations where people put the law in their own hands, and because there's a very broad delegation of discretion to someone to just use deadly self-defense whenever they want, it's going to lead to bad situations where Bob thinks that or someone that you've talking to, where now there's a bunch of hate on someone that you used to talk to a lot, and now that they hate you, they're going to say, well, he fucked over my income stream because he said some shit to me, and so now I get to kill him.
But we're at a way different thing. When we talk about like fucking up an income stream because of participation in a platform, I would argue, I think I've used the same argument in the past for certain types of deadly self-defense, that there are going to be some implicit agreements you make by participating in a platform. So for instance, if I agree to do a boxing match, okay, with Mr. Girl, and he punches me in the face, I can't pull out a knife and stab him to death and be like, well, he hit me really hard, because we stepped into the ring. That's the agreement of being here, that we're going to be punching each other, right?
Yeah. So that's fine. I'm not saying that he would have an entitlement there or he's following the norms. I'm just saying that if you put the decision about whether or not someone has harmed you sufficient to cause you to use deadly self-defense in the hands of an individual, they're going to come to, sometimes they'll be reasonable about it, and let's say it's you, and then you're being reasonable about it. But oftentimes they're not going to be reasonable because they have a stake in it and they haven't really thought about it. And how many people have you met that have just totally miscalculated and
everything you're saying here applies to deadly self-defense, period. There's a lot of people. Did you watch the video of the oh my god, what was it? One guy, they didn't even get into a scuffle, but it was a guy in his truck, and some other guy out of his truck like came out, and they got into an argument. The guy's like, I'm gonna shoot and kill you, and then he shoots and kills the dude, and that guy fully thought he was in the right. He waited there for the cops to come. He explained what happened, and that dude just fucking straight up murdered the dude behind him. So everything.
Was it at a house, like at a porch?
No, I think it was like right outside in like a truck. I would have to I don't remember. It's wild. But I'm just saying that like everything you're saying applies to like ordinary self-defense.
I don't think it does. I think that it applies much more narrowly. So there can be disagreements about reasonable disagreements about whether or not you were in reasonable fear for your life or serious bodily injury, and that's typically what the inquiry is for deadly self-defense. But that's the inquiry. And whenever you hear someone like making an argument about deadly self-defense, they're talking about whether or not that person was a threat. That's what the Rittenhouse thing was about. It wasn't about property defense.
Sure, but I'm saying that even those arguments can get very like into the weeds on like the guy. What was that guy that just got off for? He fucking shot at his window at a guy driving by.
You're absolutely right, and that what you do in those situations is something actually a little bit unrealistic, which is you break apart the timeline of the video or the event, and every minute you ask questions like, is he in reasonable fear at this moment? Did he have an opportunity to leave?
Sure, and I would say you could do the same thing for things like the DDoS kit or whatever, things like where these other types of things are happening too. It would be murky, and if you're saying like, well, sometimes I might mess up and it's gonna be hard to figure it out, yeah, I agree, but I think it is for...
You honestly think we'd live in a better society if there was this general right, and that's not bounded by wiping you out, right? It's only bounded by some amount of property damage done to you in a way that you feel this is the last opportunity, but you don't even know for sure, right? It's whatever your case is, it's not legal certainty that you have no other alternative, because in your case, you did have a legal alternative. The legal alternative was just burdensome.
Well, the legal alternative wasn't even guaranteed. I don't know why you're saying that.
But it's not guaranteed. Okay, it's not guaranteed, but it's burdensome. But it is a channel that you did not go down. And so whatever rule that you're constructing that includes your conduct,
I feel like when you say legal channel you didn't go down, there's theoretically what did that one guy say in Thank You for Smoking? Did you watch that movie?
I did, but it's been so long.
There's the kid asks him what makes America great, and he says it's our endless court of appeals or whatever, right? Like the legal process could theoretically go on for decades, right? Depending on like how many lawsuits, how many states are going to try it, federal versus state, like how you want to hit it.
But there's a reason we do it, and we just don't shoot each other over property disputes that are worth billions of dollars.
Yeah, but sometimes we do.
Or that will wipe out all of an industry, right? There are property disputes that are worth thousands more than what you're talking about here, where one party truly feels that. I'll give you an example. Google v. Oracle, right? That was a fair use contest where we were talking about whether APIs are even copyrightable in the first place.
Yeah,
or
but
whether
this
they
is
count
like,
as fair
it
use.
feels so much different because you're fighting over different people trying to profit from a particular thing. Even in the book example, it was over versus somebody just like taking something and setting it on fire.
But let's talk about what the facts were, just real quick. I'm not gonna let's talk about what the facts actually were in that case. And what the facts actually were in that case was Google is alleged, and they agree that they took all of all of the code that we were talking about, which is like the signaling code of the API. They agreed that they did that, and they just copied it and they just took it. Right. So from Oracle's perspective, right, this is very clear malice. You're just taking our stuff that we worked hard on, and you're just using it and making billions of dollars of profit on it. Now, these contests are worth tons of money, but we don't channel them just through whoever has the better private military army and just fight over it. We channel it through the legal system, and it takes years, you're right, for a reason. And that's shitty. It is shitty. There are a lot of people in this country. I
understand what you're saying, but it's like, it's such a different type of thing when you're talking about like corporations fighting over like profiting off of like copyright law versus like an individual is like maliciously harming another one for fun. It's just like,
let me bring it back down to the individual.
I'd be interested if you have like any examples that are comparable to that.
Let me bring it back down to the sort of individual level. Even if you just have a situation where there's two adjoining property owners and one wants a right to construct their building in a certain way that fucks up with the only, the great sites of this hotel or something, and it's just two small property business owners, and one property entitlement or alleged or purported property entitlement is going to wipe them out or close to wipe them out or not, or like just significantly lower the value of their property. Those disputes can take years. And
I don't even know. Can you explain? I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
So if you were to, let's say that you have adjoining properties and one person builds their property, 8 floors, and now your property, which is worth a lot of money, but now it doesn't have like access to see the lake or something, right? You've blocked the lake from the vision and thus lowered the value of the property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like this is part of like the implicit agreements of getting into property, like that somebody could build something near you that would decrease your value, or like this is part of like the game of like property and real estate.
No, but I can change the hypothetical.
And it's also different because the other people building it like aren't doing it like probably maliciously. They're probably doing it because they're increasing the value of their property. It's not just like something they're doing to fuck with somebody.
I can change it so that that the covenant that you signed or whatever thing that you signed when you joined this neighborhood said that you weren't supposed to build up 5 stories. You weren't supposed to do that, and you weren't supposed to block the eye line. That was part of the deal, but you just maliciously ignored it, and you fucked around with them. Do you think that you should be able to like kill the construction worker that comes on to put on the 5th floor,
when you say
you should be able to fucking kill the person who's about to wipe you out?
Yeah, so when you say construction worker, now you're not even talking about the exact person that's like enacting the harm.
Okay.
I don't think if, for instance, I don't think if the DDoS kid was DDoSing me with like an AT&T connection, I don't think I should be able to kill an AT&T fucking server maintainer.
The construction worker and the construction worker is the same as the building owner.
It's so far, and the person's not just making something to fuck with you. They're increasing the value.
Don't soy out about. Okay, just change it.
Oh my god, I don't know how I could change. Okay, here's what I would need to do to make this analogous. Okay, let's say that you own a building. Okay, and let's say that like your building, you own it, and across you've got like a beautiful view of the sunset. Okay, when you made that building, let's say that as part of creating that building, there's an agreement in this entire area, legal agreement that's completely, everybody agrees with the blah, 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 that nobody is going to come and destroy the skyline. Let's say that somebody else builds a giant fucking billboard right in front of your building that is 1,000 feet tall. That's the Goatsy fucking thing. A guy expanding his fucking asshole. Okay? And somebody's going to do that. Okay? And let's say that through whatever means, they've paid off the city board, they've paid off the state senators, they paid every party off, and there's absolutely no fucking shot that anybody is going to help you legally, and this person's going to put this thing up, and all of your people in your hotel all have fucking Crohn's disease, and they don't want to see assholes because it reminds them of their affliction, okay? And then that guy was going to, then yeah, you know what? Go attack him and fuck him up. Knock yourself out.
Now, add that situation where it's possible you could win a lawsuit, unclear, but it would be expensive. Now what?
Like expensive as in like likelihood of succeeding is low to none, and expensive as in like it would bankrupt you.
30% likelihood to succeed.
30% is decent odds. Also, like, and if it would like bankrupt you to even try, let's say that if you lost the lawsuit, like your business is done, like you wouldn't be able to do anything. Then yeah, fuck it, go beat the guy up. Time to start hiring people with hammers.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, I would say go for it.
This shit exists all the time. People have to decide whether or not to
eco-terrorism exists. I don't know what the point is for you saying that it exists all the time. Like,
okay, well, you're against eco-terrorism, aren't you?
It depends.
Are you in favor of eco-terrorism?
I'm sure that there are probably examples where I would be in favor of it. If there's some group of people who are, let's say, for instance, the Ohio derailment, right?
the East Palestine.
Yes. So everybody right now has their eyes razor focused on train derailments, okay? One of the things that the union workers keep bringing up is this, what do you know what they call it? Precision timing, I think.
I don't know anything about that.
It's basically, it sounds like an algorithm that these freight companies are using to determine the minimum amount of people that they need to run these trains for the maximum amount of time. And a lot of union workers, I don't know if this is true or not, but the union workers are claiming that this type of scheduling is leaving them prone to accidents. But because of how efficient it is to schedule trains like this, they can just write the accidents off. It's fine. Be a little bit less safe, but be a little bit more reckless and make more money doing it, right?
Yep.
Let's say that it was the case that the amount of accidents was dramatically increasing. And let's say it was getting to the case to where these were actually some serious spills. You're getting cities that have to be evacuated, or towns, we can say towns of 100 people that have to be evacuated, water sources that are being polluted, and animals that are dying, right? Let's say that starts to get to that case. If that was the case, and you've got like a nearby train station that's running these trains on these schedules, and you wanted to get some people and go sabotage or arson or fuck the train station up, I don't know if I could judge you. I think, yeah, fucking maybe. Yeah. There are probably forms of eco-terrorism that I could theoretically support. I would just have to, that gets really complicated, but I'm sure there are forms that I could support, sure.
And if someone said to you, like, well, we made a democracy for a reason, I guess part of your hypothetical is assuming that that is just dysfunctional and that it doesn't matter that a majority of people or a super majority of people in this area want to get rid of it. They're like, no matter what, the democracy is not working, right? And they're not listening.
Yeah, that's Jim Crow and civil rights and everything, right? Of course, is the idea that like something is not working here, right? Yeah.
You think it was justified to like kill segregationists in the civil rights era?
I don't think one man, especially a white man, could put a timetable on another man's freedom. Pisco. I would have to know the exact circumstance by which it's happening. But like, I don't know, theoretically. What did you watch the movie? Did you watch the movie John Q?
No. What's that?
Denzel Washington breaks into a hospital because they won't treat his son because he didn't have insurance and his son's gonna die and he's got to break into the hospital to. But yeah, never mind. I don't know about that one. But
can I ask you then about?
We play these games all the time. Okay.
We do.
No. When I say we play these games, I mean, you never answer any questions from me.
Yeah, no, I was answering questions before, and
sure,
you gave me hard hypotheticals about the property stuff.
I'm curious then. Let's say that precision train scheduling shit did exist, and your towns were getting fucking destroyed. Do you think citizens would have a right to rise up and be like, "Yo, we're going to start sabotaging your trains and shit"?
I think that they would absolutely have a requirement, an ethical, moral requirement, to seek to implement a democratic change, and if that was unsuccessful, the reason in order to justify the acts that they took, the reason for its unsuccess would have to do with the fact that there's like widespread corruption. If it's just the case, right, that these people are being harmed and 60% of the governing authority that has jurisdiction of this area, that 60% of people like, yeah, we're okay with that pollution. Sucks for you 30%, 30 whatever percent who don't want it there, but we have elected people and the people have decided that pollution is okay. In that situation, I think that you need to respect democracy, don't you?
What if you're in a scenario, oh my God, we're coming to the big memes, okay? What if 60
about civil rights and things
about whether or not property should vote, right? Our disagreements over like the Senate and the Electoral College. What if like 55 or 60% of people don't care, but the people that are harmed are disproportionately in areas with lower populations? And the reason why 60% of people don't care is because they live in cities. I don't give a fuck if East Palestine gets fucking polluted. I live in Seattle. I live in New York. I live in Miami. Do you think that those people should have the ability to seek extrajudicial means to fight against it, or do they just have to say, well, Pisco says the democratic process is holy?
So there are two situations where the answer changes. If there's like widespread corruption and the democracy is actually not functioning, which is to say a majority of people want, or the whatever the rules are, right, let's say that you need a simple majority or you need a filibuster. I'm just mapping onto whatever the typical rules are of that jurisdiction to implement the legislative reform. Let's say that is not working, right? Because if it's not working, then obviously revolutions are sometimes justified. And so I would never say that you never change your government, never use violence. I'm not that kind of person. But if the system is functioning in a democratic-ish fashion, right, where in general we have representatives that enact legislature and they're not just all corrupt, right?
Yeah, but what do you mean, like
What up?
I mean, just because of the example you're laying out, like slavery was fully and completely legal, right?
Right. Yeah, no. There are certain,
and the system was working,
category,
and it was functional.
The second category of things, I think, are things related to who is a member of the democratic system itself. So things related to slavery, things related to not letting. No, I think it has to do more about like institutional access to the channels of change. So
I can't be
in the American Revolution case, right? They didn't have the right to vote. They didn't have the right to self-governance. Those are the kind of issues that I think merit violent struggle. When you are being oppressed and you don't have an ability to change except to use violence because you don't have any other means, right? Those are the situations. I think you would agree with what I just said, right?
I think you should exhaust other options before, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's the case that you are being excluded from the process, from the democratic process, and there is no other alternative, I'm never going to say that revolution is never justified, but only as a last resort to the highest level of oppression when you are not given access to the levers of change. So to get back to your situation, if it's the case that the democracy is well functioning in this place, 60%, all the ones who live in the city say, no, fuck East Palestine, rural places where it's happening, and the 30% are the people who are affected, I think that if I believe in democracy, I have to believe that that 60% wins, right? And it's up to the 30% to change the minds of some good faith 60%ers. Do you disagree with that, or do you think the 30% should win?
I can kind of agree with you, but at some point, like I think there's going to be justification for like violent, like resistance, like even if they can't, like
if the matter has been considered, the 60% win, the 30% lost. I keep saying 30. It's 40, right? It's 40. 40% lost, and you think that it would be and the system is working well. They just didn't convince enough of the people in the city. You think the terrorism is nonetheless justified?
It's going to depend on the level of harm, right?
Okay, so if it were literally nuclear reactor melting down every week.
Yeah, or like super crazy. Yeah, it doesn't have to be nuclear level, but like, yeah, I'm sure we could imagine scenarios, right?
So what's a easy scenario on one side and a less easy scenario for in favor or against the terrorism? Have I worn you out? Is this over?
No, I'm sorry. I see stupid comments in chat.
You're good.
Okay. Let's back up. Do it again.
So you agreed that even if it's the case that an overwhelming majority of people, 60%, let's call it, agree that the pollution should not be mitigated and that it's gone through a fair process, that what you would consider to be a fair process, you might still say that 40% is justified in using terrorism to go against the wishes of the 60% process, right?
I can imagine scenarios like
that. If the harm were sufficiently high enough, and I probably agree with you in certain cases.
So, for instance,
me, the harm's going to be high level to subvert democracy. It's going to be really, really high.
For sure, I can see there being cases where there's pollution that's restricted to low population areas that high populations just don't care about.
What scenarios are those?
Just what I said, that like maybe there's like pollution of like the Missouri River or the Mississippi River or some shit, and it's like people in big cities don't give a fuck about it, but the people that live along this river, their lives are like fucking destroyed, and they can't get democratic justice because there's just not enough people that care to vote on the issue. Or actually, we can go for a historical example. I don't know if I ever got your position when we said this. Do you think that DACA kids would have had a right to fight back against like agents coming to like remove them from the country, or no?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah.
But hang on. If you agree in social contract and social agreement, right? I'm someone who's very in favor of DACA. I think we should have a legislative pathway to citizenship. But what you just said, if you say that you're in favor of DACA kids having the right to use deadly self-defense against ICE officers who are enacting the laws. Remember the construction guy example where you just soyed at me for bringing up a soy soy construction worker who's not even involved. Now you're talking about ICE workers. They're just machines and robots.
Hold on, you got to stop your intuition pumping so hard on some of these examples. You soyed over the construction worker. If the construction worker was coming to kill you or remove you from an area that you lived in, that's not. These are totally disanalogous. So
so you can be an intermediary.
No,
wait.
Hold on, you got to completely eject the construction worker then, because that is not even close to comparable here. If the construction worker was coming to like destroy your house, then it would be more analogous to building a building across the street from you.
So the intermediary part isn't really that important. So it doesn't really matter if it's an intermediary. It's always a harm, and I don't care if it's innocent construction workers. If the harm is sufficiently great, I'm not going to care. And so you soing out about me about putting an intermediary.
I'm just saying, if you want, like, we can talk about the police officers without having to rope in 15 examples that aren't really close to being the same thing.
I'm just noticing, and you're soing out that I'm noticing that in this case you're putting an intermediary there, and it doesn't seem to be a problem at you. I'm just noticing that, and I hope that you have some rationale why when I brought up an intermediary.
I probably do, but these two things are disanalogous, so I wouldn't compare them. But if you wanted to go and write the rules for each one, we can. But you can't keep saying that, like, okay, well, a guy coming to remove you, you think you could kill that person, but if your mom wanted to take you out of daycare an hour early, you couldn't even kill your mom? Well, what's the difference? Right? Well, yeah, there are differences, but it's a totally different fucking thing.
Okay, then I'm just putting it out there. I think it's okay to make that observation, and
I do too.
I'm sorry it got heated.
Observe everything you want to observe. Go ahead.
So now we have an intermediary, which is the ICE agent, coming to... America has come to a decision that certain rules have to be followed in the immigration process. I don't agree with those rules, but there are categories of things that make you inadmissible to change status in this country or that make you deportable. One such thing is crossing the border without being admitted or inspected. Now, there are tons of things that you can apply for in this country to get you away from those bars to inadmissibility. You can be a special immigrant juvenile. There's tons of, you can apply for asylum within a certain time period. There are tons of things that you can do as a non-citizen who has been crossed the border legally to get away from the bars to eligibility and adjustment of status. But for a big category of people, called the DACA kids, they cannot, right? Because they don't have those claims that they are inadmissible to the United States, right? Even though they lived their whole life here. And America put those systems and those procedures to a vote, and America passed those laws. Democratic, and you're not here to say that those laws were passed in an unjust or unfair way.
What happened to the earlier rule that you'd written where you said that it's a little bit different if somebody doesn't have like democratic representation? Like for slavery.
Well, it depends on who should be part of the club, right?
Well, that's what people say for slavery. Black people shouldn't be part of the club.
Who should be part of the club? I think you still agree, probably, that that citizens should be allowed to vote in the United States, right?
Generally,
and it's okay to exclude non-citizens.
Well,
from
no,
the
because
club.
that's tautological, right? Like citizens should be allowed to vote, but not non-citizens. But also, citizens should only be white people, right? We're just solving. We're definitioning away the problem there, right?
So there's a category generally of citizen who should vote and citizen and non-citizen who shouldn't vote. And I think that you would agree that if you're not born here, if you have no parents by which to get citizenship status automatically, the only way that we shouldn't give citizenship to everyone automatically. Agreed?
To everyone? No.
Should everyone in the world have American citizenship?
Probably not.
Okay. And so one way that we can give citizenship to people is if they're born in the United States. You agree with that, right?
That's one way.
You think that's okay?
That is indeed one way to do
it.
it. Yeah.
I also agree with that we should give citizenship to people who are born here. Another way is if one or both of your parents are American citizens, through blood, you should probably be a citizen as well. Correct?
Probably, yeah.
Everyone else should have to follow set rules to become a citizen. Agreed?
Probably, yeah.
It shouldn't just be random. Okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And those rules relate to employment. Those rules relate to if you marry someone. All those rules that we've decided on that are legitimate grounds, like family ties, employment, and sometimes just a lottery. Correct?
Yep.
All right. And outside of those rules, everyone who doesn't follow those rules should not be citizens. Agreed?
Yep.
And therefore should be outside of the club.
Probably, yeah.
Of voters. Okay. So we agreed. And do you have a problem with people who cross the border illegally and not being able to vote?
No.
Okay, so then you have no problem with them. There's no institutional problem with these people not having the say in their own citizenship status.
Well, I think the challenging thing with DACA children was that they were people that didn't necessarily choose to break the crime. They're here through no volition of their own in the only country they've ever known, and they weren't old enough to make the decision to break these rules and not have a voice and not have a say. right? That's the whole problem with them. For an adult, everything you just said is very easy, but I think for the children, I think that's why the DACA question is a little bit more complicated.
So you think that, I just want to make sure, the laws that have created the situation where there are people that we call DACA individuals, that those laws should be considered illegitimate because the DACA kids to whom they apply,
not that they should be considered illegitimate, but that the law should probably change or reflect more accurately.
No, that's a substantive disagreement. I agree that the law should change.
Yeah,
that's agreed. But are the laws illegitimate because the DACA kids themselves weren't able to vote on them? These are laws that were passed.
Probably not.
In the 60s,
a disaffected
and the 90s.
Party is never going to be able to vote on a law that they aren't allowed to vote on, right? Right.
Yeah. I agree. So I don't think that those laws, I think that those are duly enacted laws of the United States, and they should be respected as duly enacted laws of the United States. Just like the laws against foreign bribery.
What is the difference between this and like slavery then?
I think that the laws against slavery deal with people who we think ought to have a claim to citizenship in this country and ought to have a stake. The people who are born in this country.
But we didn't for a long time. Wait, but we did it for a long time.
Okay, but we disagree on that, right? So, like, if we agree on the merits of who should be part of the club of people who are allowed to vote and people who have a stake in the country,
well, but there's obviously disagreement. But we can't because there's disagreement on the DACA kids, right? For instance, some people believe that illegal immigrants should be given amnesty based on the number of years they've been here, or if they're working here, or if they haven't committed crimes here, if they've gone to school here. There is a disagreement on who should be allowed into that club. That was the whole issue with amnesty and DACA and immigration.
Okay, but then that just applies your DACA, explodes your DACA principle to apply to anyone who feels that they shouldn't be deported, right? If you have a drug
that's one of the
offense,
center. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest disagreements.
But you don't
on
believe
immigration
that everyone
is amnesty stuff, right?
But you don't believe that everyone in the country has an entitlement to have deadly self-defense if they're about to be deported.
Everybody? No, probably not. Like, for instance, if you cross the border, if you're like 22 years old, you cross the border and they say you need to go back and kill you, they probably have a right to kill you.
But not because you didn't have a right to as a say in the country, right? Presumably because
you're breaking. Because I think that I think that DACA kids are like the actual thing that libertarians talk about when they talk about themselves, right? You're a person that was brought to a place, you've broken a law that you weren't even aware of, that you didn't consent to, and now like a punishment is being enacted on you that's effectively destroying your life in a way that is like impossible for you to have ever even known, right? You're brought over for a lot of these DACA kids, like less than like 6 or 7 years old, right? And the idea that somebody can essentially commit like probably one of the worst crimes against you, short of like torture, rape, or murder, right? They're literally displacing you from your country and knocking you out. Yeah, I think that there's an argument to be made there that like somebody would be able to defend themselves from that process.
Even if it makes the situation 1,000 times worse, which it would. If you killed,
I don't know if making the situation worse is ever something that we consider for self-defense. Is it?
Yeah, we should. That's the reason we have our self-defense rules in the first place is to make situations better, not worse.
I don't know if that's the case. Let's say that we run the numbers, or we can just do the rape example, right? Guy's coming to rape a woman and he says, I promise I'm not going to kill you. And the woman's like, okay, well, I'm still going to defend myself with lethal force. Like, is the woman unethical for doing that if she might like escalate the situation from a rape to a homicide?
Unethical, or are you asking about the like?
We'll say the rule. We'll say the rule. Say the law.
I think that the law doesn't need to map on deadly self-defense only to deadly threats. I think deadly self-defense could apply to non-deadly threats.
Sure, but then you are necessarily you're escalating the situation and making things potentially worse, or almost.
I guess I see where the tautology or the circularity of that is. You're defining what is a better situation with reference to. Yeah, okay. Needless to say, I think that.
You're not going to answer that?
Why are you laughing? No. Okay, so in the rape example, no. I think you have a deadly. I think you have a deadly. I just want to make sure I'm answering the question. Every time you say I'm not going to answer,
the reason why I'm asking this, because I'm fighting against your earlier statement that like we only say that self-defense is good when it's like always improving the situation.
I think the crime of rape is bad enough that deadly self-defense is justified, even if there is no implicit threat of death or serious bodily injury.
I agree the same with the crime of dehumanizing.
Hang on. Yeah. But just be clear. I'm gonna reference another conversation we had where you were fine making your definition of rape include all kinds of non.
We weren't arguing legal definitions there, though. We were arguing social norms.
Oh, you're happy to bootstrap that typical definition of rape for the purposes of this conversation, correct?
Yeah, just like how in some cases I'll say like, bro, you're kind of inciting people to violence, and it's like, would you arrest that? Like I would say Trump, in a layman's sense, incited people to violence, absolutely. But did it meet the threshold for incitement to violence? I'd say probably not. Which I think
so
you've agreed. I think you've agreed with that position, correct?
Wait, the incitement that didn't meet the legal definition of incitement?
That Trump almost assuredly incited people to the violent acts on January 6th, but probably didn't rise to the, but didn't rise to the legal definition of an incitement.
Now I'm not sure because now there's been additional evidence from
but back then
Cassidy Hutchinson. Back then I said that it's a high standard.
Yeah, but you agreed with the layman's version. I'm just thinking because you're trying to catch me in using two different definitions of rape.
And no, that's fine. That's fine.
Sure
I just want to be clear what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Sure, okay, yeah.
I'm not trying to catch you.
You were trying to catch me. You weren't trying to be clear. You were trying to catch me.
No, I know. I am trying to be clear because you wouldn't agree with deadly self-defense of stealthing.
Maybe.
Even though you said that that's rape.
Well, it depends. It depends on what we mean by stealthing. If you saw somebody reach down and pull a condom off, and you got a knife under your pillow, and you like, Mister, did you just take the condom? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you without the condom on, and he was gonna do it, and you tried to push him off, and he was coming in. I think you can take the knife and stab him in the fucking neck.
Now who's adding other things? There's no threat to your life. It's just
no. Even if he's not, no. When I say he's gonna go in you, I mean with his dick. He's not gonna kill you, but I think you could kill him. Sure, 100%. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wait, do you disagree?
For stealthing?
Yeah. If the guy
I guess if it's a but for condition to sex, you wouldn't have consent to have sex, right? So you would agree that stealthing is rape in that case, and
so you've
be a lack of consent.
No,
it's not defined away. It would be non-consensual sex, in which case it would be rape, right? And I don't think that there should be a.
So you should be able to stab somebody if you catch them stealthing you and you warn them, right?
But the stealthing I was talking about was if you notice someone, surreptitiously trying to stealth you, and you don't bring it to their attention, and you don't have this confrontation with them, and you just kill them out of nowhere.
Well, I don't know if I would almost ever agree with that. When we argued with self-defense before, wasn't a big thing like putting somebody on notice that there needs to be a reasonable expectation that they're going to be killed for doing.
Well, you asserted your boundary in the first instance. You said, "I'm not going to have sex with you without a condom."
Yeah, but is it reasonable to think that somebody might kill you?
Does it matter?
Well, wasn't that a big part, like the reasonableness of like? Yeah, I think that's probably mad. I think even for my crazy self-defense takes before, I think I agree that there needs to be probably some reasonable expectation of what like the boundary is.
So if you had said at the forefront,
like for instance,
hey,
if there's a military base and I see that, I'm at Area 51, and I tell a friend like, yo, we should cut through this fucking base, okay? From how I was raised, what my mom told me was that if you drive through a gate in a military base, MPs will kill you. I don't know if that was true or not, but that's what my mom told me, especially after 9/11. They'll kill you. So I would expect to die crossing the line. But like, let's say I used to run around with friends in the neighborhood before we had bikes, you'd cut through people's backyards. You'd climb the fence, you'd cut through their backyard. Now, technically, that's trespassing, but like, is it reasonable to expect that you're gonna get fucking killed doing that? In like a residential area? Probably not. But like, it would be reasonable to assume in other areas that may be, right?
Okay, is it reasonable to assume that you were gonna kill the DDoSing kid?
Absolutely.
You didn't warn him.
I don't think you need a warning. I think it's reasonable.
Bullshit. You just made a condition about reasonableness and reasonable notice that you have not satisfied. That guy never thought you were gonna kill him.
If I would have told him, listen, if you don't stop, I'm coming to kill you, do you think that would have made it okay then?
I'm asking you for your rule. I don't think it's okay even if you do say you give him warning.
I think there are certain actions that you don't need the one. Like for instance, if I were to compare this to the tire thing,
bro,
if I were to go outside,
way.
Don't bro me. If I were to go outside somebody's house and they caught me slashing their tire, I would expect to die. That would be my expectation. It would be. And I understand a lot of you guys in chat feel some type of different way about that, but that's where I'm at in my life. If somebody caught me doing shit like that, I would expect to die. Like 100%. If I was in some dude, and again, maybe it's a matter of where we live, or maybe I'm just crazy. If I was outside some dude's house keying his Mustang and he caught me, I would expect him to chase me to either whip my ass or fucking kill me. 100%. That would be my expectation.
So if you ask this kid or anybody on the street, hey, if someone DDoSes you, would you expect to be fucking shot and killed in your house?
Don't say, hold on, wait. Don't lessen it. Not just DDoSes you. No, not just DDoSes you, but somebody is continuously DDoSing you for months, even after you move and change your IP address and take every measure you can to stop them. I'd say, 100%. Absolutely.
that most people in this country would have an expectation they're going to get shot and killed.
Oh, most people in the country? No, but most people in the country know what DDoS is. But most people that like make a living like online doing shit or whatever, and they were like tortured.
Okay, so you think this kid had? Do you think this kid assumed the risk, and he thought that it was plausible that you were going to go kill him?
Well, he probably thought there's no chance that I would have, right? It would be my guess. But if we were in the same area and had the means to, I would expect he'd probably think so. I'm not sure. I don't know. He might be real dumb, but
dude, no, come on. There's no implicit. Even if you're doing that shitty shit with the knowledge of the internet, I think most people would say that they wouldn't expect that the punishment would be deadly.
I think it's reasonable to expect it would be. People have killed for like stealing $100 out of somebody's wallet. Why would you not think the same for costing somebody thousands and thousands of dollars in business that they're using to support their family?
Then shut up about the needing to warn, because if it's enough for $100,
I didn't say. Hold on. Hold on. I can't tell. Wait. I can't tell if you're doing this intentionally. No. When you say need to warn, I just told you that it's a reasonable expectation of what you're doing. There doesn't need to be a warning. If I go out and I start keying somebody's car, I don't need them to warn me first. I know that what I'm doing is going to be fucking killed if the guy comes outside. I don't need a warning, right?
Okay. Oh, okay. So
you just need to have an understanding that, like, if you're causing a certain amount of harm or damage to somebody, yeah, they're probably going to kill you. And you know what? If you're too stupid to understand that, then your genes, that's a Darwin Award waiting to fucking happen. Amen.
It just sounded like there was like a very robust notice requirement that you were talking about, but now you're gonna reasonable away any kind of property infringement.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Catch me up. When did I say there was like a robust, reasonable requirement? What was that?
It sounded like that. It sounded like you were
I'm sorry, because I thought I said multiple times there were like situations where like
let me unwind it.
Unwind me.
I'll help you out. So we were talking about stealthing, right? And the situation in which someone says before sex, "Hey, I need a condom to have sex with you." That's like a but-for condition.
Okay.
And then he's like, "All right, whatever you say." And then they are about to have sex, and he has the condom on, and then she catches him taking the condom off. Stab right there in the moment, justified, right? And you said no. You said no because I would expect her to warn.
Yeah, I don't think, again, for stealthing, I don't know if that's like you're dying.
Bro, there's no way that this situation, which I think even under the legal definition, I think probably should be rape. If you make it an explicit but-for condition is sex and you're not fulfilling that seems like it might even fit the regular definition of rape, correct?
I don't know if that, I'm not sure if that even does fit it, but...
Well, let's say that I don't know, if you have sex with someone's twin, thinking that it's the real person, wouldn't you think that's rape?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's like a murder thing.
But it would be rape.
Sure, but I don't know if
you think deadly self-defense is justified for all rape?
No, probably not. There's a lot of different types of rape. That's a very multifaceted, multi-layered crime.
Okay.
Wait, do you think you can kill somebody for all forms of rape?
Let me think about that. Can I think about that? You put me on the spot.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't think it's necessarily ethically justified for all kinds of rape. I agree with you there.
Okay,
but should the law give you protection for deadly? What we're talking about is the rule.
I think the reason why for the twin one, the reason why it's so hard to imagine is because, like, how do you find out in the moment that it's like a twin that you're having sex with? We do agree that you can't revenge kill somebody for rape, right?
Yeah, but then that's a big problem for you.
Why?
Because you can't. The DDoS kid, it would be on future crime, right? Future intrusion. It wouldn't be based on what he did in the past, right?
Well, it's the fact that he's continuing doing it. If he stopped, then obviously it might. I think, yeah.
Okay. So you wouldn't be justified to kill him now? You would agree with that?
No. It would.
No, you wouldn't agree, or no, you're right?
No, I wouldn't be justified. But damn, would it be a good ass game?
No, stop, bro. Okay, so in the case, let's go back to the stealther. If you're stealthing, you say that you need to warn before you stab.
For stealthing, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately. Yeah.
But if you slash a tire, no warning needed.
Nah, if you're fucking with somebody's vehicle like that, if that's like how they get to work.
Just one time, not even a course of conduct, just one time, one slash.
If somebody sees you doing it and they like shout at you, yeah, I don't even know if they need to shout at you. That's just
wait.
It's so obviously beyond.
So then stop. I hate all your like the added shit that you put in the facts. If the easy case for you is
what happened?
if all it takes is someone needed to slash a tire for you to be justified to shoot them in the face, no warning even needed, then stop putting in all that extra stuff about your livelihood. He's doing it over course of conduct. You just agreed.
But hold on, I'm sorry. The livelihood stuff is why they might not actually need it for their livelihood, but I'm saying that's why I would just assume that that's like you're gonna get fucked there.
So is it justified to shoot someone?
For instance, like if I was on somebody's property and I was like just like petting their dog or I was like near their dog or whatever, I don't know if I would expect them to like kill me for that. But maybe this is just shit that I heard that's not actually true. If I was like on a farm and I was like messing with somebody's livestock, like I don't know if they would come out. Like I would kind of expect that like I'm in some crazy territory if I'm like fucking with somebody's horse or cow or some shit.
This will be my last question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is it justified to shoot someone in the face without a warning who just slashes your tire?
Shoot somebody in the face if you see him outside doing it. Yeah, f it. Yeah, hell yeah.
That's unhinged.
Amen, dude. You know what's unhinged is going around slashing people's tires. F them. That's a benefit to society right there. Not only should you be allowed to do it, you should get a reward for it. An award for it.
You're memeing out of it.
I'm not memeing out of it. Fuck them. If you think you can walk around and slash people's tires, yeah, fuck it. We're in a better society for being able to shoot people for it. Fuck them.
So if all it would take is that, I don't know why you don't just grant the copyright infringement cases. That you don't grant all of the landlord cases I'm taking.
If you made, first of all, I already did for the landlords. If you made if the copyright case more analogous, I probably would. Like if it was somebody that was ahead of schedule, like copywriting like multiple books from you and shit, then I'd say, yeah, fuck it, go for it. Yeah, I think you can do it. But you're saying,
I mean, it was one tire. All you needed was one fucking tire, and that was enough to shoot someone. And so don't now bring in all the baggage of your.
Well, no, because you use the copyright thing as an analogous thing to my fucking. To my DDoS
it's one
thing.
Tire. You just said one tire is enough.
Sure,
so
in the case of one tire, if you knew that somebody was gonna go ahead and like steal your fucking book beforehand and publish it or whatever, and like it's clearly that's like something that's against the law and you shouldn't do it, then yeah, fuck it. One book is enough. Fuck it. Yeah, you should be able to do that. Fuck them. True. Based. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
I want a world where people are afraid to steal and fuck with people's shit. I'm pro Batman, okay? I'm pro Batman. I support Batman. I support the Dark Knight, okay?
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't think he's a criminal? Violent bat?
No, I think he's doing what needs to be done.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
How's life going?
Gotham is corrupt.
Yeah, it is, and that's why we need the Dark Knight to save.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If it's like true corruption, I think that shit could be justified 100%. Wait, what was your question before I leave?
How's life been going? What have you been up to?
It's good. Just
how far do you live from UMD? I was gonna message you, but I don't know how far.
You're talking to me or you're talking to Jade?
Talking to G?
Jade?
Oh.
I think he's talking to you, Pisco.
Yeah, I don't know where.
UMD?
Yeah. How far is that from? University of Maryland, sorry.
Oh.
Maryland. How far is Maryland from New York? I don't know how far. I'm just asking.
I don't know.
Is it like a 1 hour drive or like a 6 hour drive? I don't know. I was just curious.
I don't know. I've never gone to, let's see what Google Maps
Aren't these states like all bordering each other? I don't know anything in the Northeast. Okay, that's why I was asking.
Hang on.
I lost interest in Jade after she turned 19, so I'm just,
Oh.
Dude, stop.